Hello, everyone. This is Morris Jackson with Religion, Economics, and Politics. We have another great show lined up for you today. Stick around and we'll be right back after this short message.
Stop searching. Take control of your blood sugar levels with our powerful blood sugar ultra supplement, crafted with natural ingredients proven to lower blood sugar levels. Your solution is finally here. Visit our online store and order now to start your journey to better health.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Religion, Economics, and Politics. This is Morris Jackson again. And whether you're listening to us by podcast or whether it's if you're watching this by video podcast, we really appreciate you listening to our show. Today, I have with me a young man from Nigeria who's going to talk about a topic I think that we all are kind of curious about. We don't know enough about. Maybe we want to jump into it. His name is Hilary, and I'm going to pronounce his last name. I've been practicing it. Azubuike.
Yeah.
Azubuike.
Yeah.
So I would also have you know that I've traced my ancestry back, and my ancestry comes back primarily to Nigeria, to the Igbo tribe. So I'm planning a trip to Nigeria next February, and I'm actually going to film a podcast from Nigeria. So, but the topic that we're going to discuss, and I want to get on it because I know I will digress. I'm a big talker, but we want to talk about blockchain technology and its impact on the global economy. Now, I know that I have some assumptions about blockchain technology, which is I really don't know what it is or how it works. I know that some people have made a lot of money in blockchain technology, but we brought you on to the show, Hilary, to talk about this. But first off, introduce yourself to the audience and just kind of tell them who you are and how you got into this technology.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I know it has been quite difficult trying to get me on the call due to like time zone difference and all that. But thankfully, I'm here gracing this high level occasion. So I'm Hilary Azubuike, as rightly introduced before now. I am a Web3 enthusiast, a seasoned one at that. You know, I'm also I'm the founder of Crypto Heroes Academy, and what we do is we expose people to legitimate ways to attain financial freedom. You know, most especially in a post-pandemic world filled with economic recession. So what we're doing is we're exposing young minds to how they can attain financial freedom through legitimate ways, leveraging on the new digital economy and all of the new digital technologies that power the new digital world, such as blockchain. You know, we teach them things like how you can be a profitable trader. We teach them skills like UI, UX, and offering your skills to, you know, Web3 companies. You know, within the course of this session, I'll get to explain, you know, what Web3 is and what crypto is and what blockchain are, you know, trying to explain that in full. But, you know, in furtherance to that, so when I was an undergraduate, I also founded Blockchain Uniben Community. It's just a community of like minds leveraging blockchain and other digital related opportunities just to attain financial freedom. And while at it, you create social and economic change, be a force for change. So that's basically what I do. And apart from that, I also am a business developer. I also happen to know a little bit of marketing, which is like the new career I'm also pursuing. I graduated as I studied electrical and electronics engineering during my undergraduate year, and that's my coursemate Godsent who, you know, got me here. So it's pretty much awesome to be here on this call. And I'll be here to extensively talk about this current topic because it's a hot one.
Yeah, so thank you for that, and also shout out to Godsent. He handles a lot of my social media marketing, and it's really been a blessing. So shout out to Godsent, and thank you again for setting up this meeting today. So it sounds like, I mean, your education, I mean, you look like you're a very young man. So, but it sounds like as far as your educational background is concerned, I mean, you're a smart guy. And like I say, so some of the old, as we say here in the US, some of the old heads like me, uh, we don't really know what blockchain technology is or cryptocurrency. It's kind of this mystical thing that's out there. You know, we've seen some people get really rich off of this, and then we've seen some people get involved in some scams with cryptocurrency. So we're kind of leery about it, you know. Uh, but at the same time, some of us are also curious because we don't want to get left behind or miss out on a wave of the future. You know, had I known Amazon was going to go the way that it went, or had I known that you know, some of these other big companies would blow up the way that they did, I would have probably invested. So, kind of
Yeah.
explain to us what cryptocurrency is or what blockchain, because I know all of that is kind of tied into one, and really, like I said, for guys like us who don't know, it's all kind of a cloud to us. So, kind of explain to us what blockchain technology is, and what part it plays in cryptocurrency.
Okay, that's a very good question. I'd like to do a little bit of intro, then I can now probably define it in a sentence, right? So, as man, basically men over time continue to aspire for evolution, right? Evolution has become a part of humanity. In fact, has been a part of human existence. Looking at money, for example, before now, we do what is called trade by barter, where I have 2 cups of rice. I look for my neighbor who has probably 2 cups of beans, and then we exchange it. That's like trade by barter. We moved from that trade by barter era to commodities, where if you have gold, if you have silver, whatever, you can use that as money, right? From that, we now moved to cowries, some part of the world, even hide and skin, right? Leather. Some part of the world, they call it money, because you can use that as an exchange for goods and services, But then all of these means of monetary value has changed over time because of their limitations. Take, for example, you want to buy an estate, or you want to buy tens of cars, and you're transacting with gold. That's a lot of carat of gold to carry in your hands to go to the vendor that's going to sell you the cars. So one of the
Right.
limitations of gold for as a means of exchange was it's heavy, right? And then apart from that, same thing with the barter era, where you had the problem of double coincidence of want, or problem of you really need someone who has you need someone who is willing to exchange what he has for what you need, right? So that's
Got it.
basically another challenge they had. So all of these means of money has their own limitations, right? And then we now move to the digital era, where you now have like credit cards, you have debit cards, you have fiat, because dollar has not been in existence, or fiat currencies like the dollar, the pound, the euro, the CDs, all manner of currencies, they had not been existent from the time past. It came up, when the fiat, when the US government decided to create a paper money backed with gold. That's like a whole lot of history. But the point here is that evolution is key, not just money. We have even communication. Communication has also evolved over time. Right from the pre-telephone era, we're using maybe telegraph, we're using post office, we're using even the social media has also changed, has evolved. I mean, because social media, we used to use newspaper before now, or not like it has entirely gone into extinction, but newspaper has its own limitations too, or post office, because from to send someone a message from, let's say, Nigeria, where I come from. Right now I'm currently in Lagos. From to send someone a message who is in Abuja or is in Anambra, if you have to travel, because if you have to travel you cannot, because of you want to send a message to someone, you don't have to travel for 2 days just because of a message. Because by that time, there was no telephone, there was no emails, right? So what we do is we use post office. Now it's going to take a number of days for the post office to dispatch the information to the receiver, and it takes a lot of time. And sometimes the message on getting to the recipient can get corrupted. But now we have telephone, right? I can just place a call if I want to talk to my dad who is in Abuja, or my sister who is in Anambra, or whatever, despite the distance. Even someone in India, someone in UK. Like right now, even through Zoom,
yes.
Both of us are having a conversation, but these things were not there. The summary is evolution has become a part of humanity, right? And then now we have another interesting topic, which is data. So all of this foundational info I'm dropping here is to help us really understand what blockchain is all about. Because if you can first talk about like the foundation, then for those who are listening who probably have been wondering what is blockchain, because it's only if you know what blockchain is that you can know the impact it can have, not just in the country where you reside, but also globally. It has a global impact, even extending to the SDGs. I'm a strong advocate of SDG, which is the Sustainable Development Goal. So probably in the course of this call, we'll have to talk about it. So the world most valuable resource, or let me call it the world most valuable asset, is no more oil, in my opinion. It's data. And then smartphones, internet has also made data more valuable. We're talking about AI right now. Everything is about data. The whole world is talking about data. It has even attracted a lot of academic research, public notices and all that data, basically. And then not just that, the sharing of data also becomes important as data grows in relevance. You don't want to put data in wrong hands because it's really, really valuable. So we want the process of sharing data to be decentralized. Decentralization here means, the prefix D negates the root word centralized, meaning not centralized. So when you say first of all, when you say something is centralized, it means there is a central body. There is a person or group of people in charge of whatever is happening in that system. Take, for example, the banks. Like here in Nigeria, the body in charge of the banks, all of the banks, we have First Bank, we have Kuda Bank, we have all manner of banks, right? The body in charge of the banking sector in Nigeria is called CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria. I don't know, in UK probably it's called...
Yeah, it's the same here, that's right.
Okay, cool. So that is centralization. There is a body in charge. It dictates, it decides how things are done, the rules, the regulations, the way, the limits on the accounts and all that. That is centralization. Even other systems also have like a centralized body. You talk about like you have like the president presiding over a particular country, or the governor to a state, and so many of that, basically centralization. But then for data to really maintain its value and to be what it is, then the essence of decentralization becomes important, right? Because it makes the data fair enough. Let's say, because of this, I'll talk more about it. From transactions to how the data are also being stored, to how the data are also being recorded. Because the truth be told is, if data is only controlled and managed by a centralized authority, you can easily hack into the database. If data is only decided, it's centralized and it is given that the people who can manage the data are just like 2 or 3 or 4 people. Those people can decide one day to just hack the data or manipulate the data or do all manner of stuff. Let me give you a practical life example. Let's say there is a crisis happening in a family of 50 people and they decide to raise money to, let's say, acquire a land, and the land is $1 million, right? So if the man is, or let's say $50 million, so it means that each person is meant to contribute $1 million, right? So they can grow up to, like, from, if 50 people contribute $1 million each, that is $50 million. So they've raised the amount they need. But now, what if the person's bank account that is used is just one person? So one person volunteers to be the one who will gather or collect all of the money. Once the person does that, maybe like 20 or 30 people can contribute. That's already $30 million. He will run away. But imagine a bank account where before one person can debit the account, every other person have to agree. All the participants, the 50 of them, or all the people who have contributed have to agree. So you see that is security, right? And then, so that is why I'm saying that the way data is also stored has to also be fair. It's not just...
So is that what we call the blockchain? That makes it the blockchain?
Yeah, so that's now what makes it the blockchain. So blockchain now basically is a type of shared database that differs from a typical database in such a way that it stores information. Take it to be like a ledger, right? Or like a spreadsheet that stores data. It stores this data in blocks, right? In blocks of transactions. That is why it's called blockchain, a chain of blocks. So it stores this data in blocks such that once a transaction is performed, it takes the people in the network to vet the approval of such a transaction. So it means that it is decentralized, meaning there is no one single person or two people or three people who will come together and decide what happens. No, it is decentralized. The decision-making process, the transactions being carried out, and everything, the records are stored. And these records, unlike other database, it is immutable. Once a transaction is done, it is stored on the database of blockchain. That's blockchain as a database, and it cannot be erased. It cannot be tampered with. It cannot be eradicated. It is immutable. You cannot change it. You cannot alter it. So that is why it is fair. It is secure. It is also open source. So blockchain basically is just take it to be a decentralized and a distributed database. Okay. That's basically what blockchain is about. Yeah.
Okay. So that was a good explanation of blockchain and how it works and just kind of the makeup and the concept of blockchain. Now I know here in the US it's kind of confusing because we get a lot of mixed messages here, and I'm sure it's probably the same around the world, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Where we have the federal government here, the banking system, telling us that, hey, your money's guaranteed with us. It's more secure if you stick with the traditional banking system versus cryptocurrency or getting into the world of blockchain. But yet, I have seen not too long ago that the U.S. has created their own the crypto. I think it's called the crypto dollar or something, but they've created their own currency. So if that is the case, and if this technology is so unsecure or dangerous or whatever they want to make it out to be, then why have they created their own crypto dollar? So it seems like they're getting into the market as well. So that's one of the things, just being who I am, I'm curious by nature, and I did grow up in the 80s, and I watched technology evolve. I watched things go from the landline, the analog phone to the big huge car phone. You were talking about digital, so the big car phone, and then we had the cell phone, which was huge with the big antenna on it. Exactly. To all of a sudden these small. So I watched the evolution of technology. I watched the introduction of the internet. So when I went to school, there was no internet. There were no personal computers until maybe I got in. I was a senior, and this was in 1989, 1990. So I'm dating myself quite a bit here. But I watched the evolution of technology, and having seen that, I've seen things that we would have said were impossible, like Zoom meetings today. Would have never imagined that we'd be able to do this, but here we are. So seeing that, looking at the evolution of technology, looking at the evolution of gas vehicles, for instance, and how those vehicles have evolved, the technology that's available on those vehicles, how efficient they've become, and then now evolving to the point to where pretty soon we're going to be probably exclusively driving electric vehicles. Now, some say, a little later rather than sooner, just depending on the development of the technology, but I believe eventually we will get there. So again, just looking at having seen evolution over time, I know that currency is not exclusive or excluded from that. It's going to evolve as well. So I definitely get your point. So why is it, again, I guess my question is, why is it that the governments are saying on one hand, hey, this technology is not secure, you should stay away from it, but then at the same time, or speaking out of the other side of their mouth, they're creating their own cryptocurrencies. So it's a little bit confusing to me. Yeah. Seems like they're going somewhere. I'm just suspicious and curious by nature. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I also have to be very careful with the kind of things I also say, because but basically, here's my opinion, my very sincere opinion. The government would always want to be in control. Mm-hmm. So whatever, if you say that blockchain technology is a decentralized technology, is a technology where there is no government, there is no president, there is no senator, there is no there's no one in charge. Basically, what blockchain does is blockchain brings back the power to the people. That's what blockchain does. That there's nobody bigger, there's no one superior. Everyone has equal rights, equal access. That's what blockchain does. That becomes a threat to the government, because the government wants to be in control. The government will not want to adopt something that they don't have direct control over. Let me give an example. I like to make it very practical. Let's say you have a wallet, a decentralized wallet. Let's say the name of the wallet is Trust Wallet, right? If your money is in Trust Wallet, the government cannot freeze your account. They cannot take anything away from your account because it is decentralized. You have full ownership, 100% ownership over the asset there. But if you look at your banks, government can freeze the money in your bank account anytime, or the owner of the platform, of the bank where you're saving can freeze it. Anything can happen. So the money in your bank is not really yours, because the government can choose to do anything at any point in time. You also have like tax you pay. You also have, some percentage that they debit you, probably maintenance fees. You also have all manner of debits into your account that sometimes you're not even aware of. You also have like fees you pay for to access certain financial services. Maybe you're transferring, you're charged on huge percentages. So the point here is why government is fighting these technologies, because it gives so much power to the people. Government wants something that they can control, something that they can accurately, easily regulate. But if you talk about a decentralized technology, it's going to be very difficult for them to be in control of a technology that they themselves cannot control. So that's why the adoption is a bit slower. But as soon as, funny enough, some governments already are proving it. Like some countries in Malta, like let's say Malta, for example, some other advanced, some countries basically, they've adopted it. Some lecturers, some doctors are being paid in Bitcoin. Some workers are paid in cryptocurrencies, because they've adopted it. They've seen how to harness this technology, because it's not to, even if we are to introduce regulations, because actually for me, the best way that the government should go around this is they should look for a way to adopt this technology because of the advantages that it provides. But
Right.
then, however, introduce a way to relate it, to prevent it from bad actors. Because no matter how good a technology is, you must definitely have bad players, right? So the best way will be to harness, maximize the advantages that this technology offers, while looking for a way to reduce the bad players and then the negative effects by introducing regulations. So it's not, you don't have to entirely call it a bad technology just because you cannot control it, because it gives so much power to the people. And that's why you call it DeFi, decentralized finance. Let me give another example. Here in Nigeria, the maximum amount of money I can send from my bank account to someone else's bank account in a day is 5 million naira. What if I have a deal, a business deal, where I have to send 20 million naira to somebody? I can do that with cryptocurrency, because with cryptocurrency, there is no limit to how much I can transfer. But the government wants to be able to manage your finances. They want to be in control. They want to keep monitoring all of the transaction. What is this for? What is that for? It's good, but when it is done in such a way that also inconveniences the user, it becomes a problem, right? So for me, my answer to that question would just be that why they fight this technology is because they cannot entirely control a decentralized technology that does not require a central party or like the government. You don't need the government in crypto.
That makes a lot of sense. And I can definitely see that because I can tell you right now, even as we speak, they're passing more and more laws to try to capture online transactions, actually capture taxes for online transactions, whereas that didn't used to be the case. So if I was to purchase something online, there was no tax. But now they've figured it out. The law have caught up with the technology. And so, I'm paying taxes now on things I purchase online. They're also moving to if you send anything via Cash App or PayPal and so forth. So those things now are being reported to the Internal Revenue Service. So if you are to send certain amounts of money as a gift to say maybe a family member, they're capturing those amounts now, and that can be taxable depending on the amount and how frequent you're sending it. So they're monitoring these things now more and more so. And I agree with you 100%. So the cryptocurrency, I think, was just it's a decentralized form of banking and way of exchanging money. And because it is decentralized and not controlled by one government entity, then they can't necessarily get their hands on it or figure out a way to create a new revenue stream for themselves. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And I appreciate you breaking it down that way. And I'm sure the listeners of this podcast will appreciate it as well. Now, we want to, let's just say, move to the next step and say, okay, hey, you know what? I feel a little bit better now. I understand what blockchain is. I understand, the decentralized concept and why the government may try to demonize, this form of banking and exchange of currency. You know what? I want to try it out. How do I start or get involved with cryptocurrency, and what's I guess a way to make sure that I'm getting involved in a legitimate, agency or whomever I would go to for cryptocurrency, because there are lots of people out there scamming folks, and we don't necessarily know what's legitimate, what isn't legitimate. How do we get started, and how do we protect ourselves at the same time? Because we want to get in on this too. I mean, we want to be a part of this new currency, and we don't want to get left behind.